Are VPATs for websites? My interpretation is that VPATs are traditionally not for websites. However, depending on the scope of the product or service, VPATs may include websites. So let's go over this from the two primary sources. We have the Information Technology Industry Council, who are actually the creators of the VPAT. And on their website, it says the Accessibility Conformance Report, which is basically the completed VPAT. The VPAT is the template. The conformance report is the template when it's filled out. So it says the ACR, based on the ITI VPAT, is the leading global reporting format for assisting buyers and sellers in identifying information and communications technology, ICT, products and services with accessibility features. Section 508.gov says a voluntary product accessibility template, VPAT, is a document that explains how information and communication technology, ICT, products such as software, hardware, electronic content, and support documentation conform to the revised 508 standards for IT accessibility. So the key words to me are products and services. And that's really what a VPAT is for. Think of a VPAT as for a software, or for a it could be like an online platform, or it could be hardware, like a computer. You could have a VPAT for a computer. You could have a VPAT for a web application like Gmail. That could have a VPAT. But VPATs are not traditionally for websites. That's not what VPATs are traditionally created for. But on a page on section 508.gov, a page entitled Inventory Your ICT, it reads, determining how revised 508 standards apply to federal IT procurement and development will ensure how any technology your agency buys or builds will be accessible. The first step in this process is to conduct an inventory. The other steps involve determining which exceptions and standards apply. So it then says, first review the business requirements of your project or acquisition to identify which major components contain information and communication technology, ICT. ICT items include such things as software, hardware, electronic content, support documentation, and services. Now key in on electronic content, because an example provided directly under that paragraph is websites and web-based content, and including internet and intranet. So I think this was what this is getting at, is if a website is a part of the product or service, it gets rolled in to this ICT and it becomes a product or service. But traditionally, we don't look at websites as for VPATs, because there you would be looking at, if you wanted an accounting of the accessibility, not stating that it's accessible, but you would look to an audit, which an audit is not standardized like the VPAT is, but an audit will give you an accounting of the accessibility of that website. And if you want the website to be fully conformant, you would look to a conformance statement, which would be issued at the time that you have a set amount of pages or screens that are fully conformant with a given version and conformance level of the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. With VPATs, remember, the VPAT's not stating that your product or service is accessible. It's merely accounting for its accessibility and letting the procurement agents know what the state of accessibility is and what features or what standards may be met, what success criteria may be met. That's what a VPAT is going to account for and address, and that's really it. So to answer the question, is a VPAT for websites? Usually not, unless the website is going to be a part of the procurement in a product or service. So maybe using a product relies heavily upon a website or a service, then that website or service, you might need a VPAT that includes the website as a product, as a part of that product or service. So I know that's not entirely clear, but neither is the documentation. But that's my interpretation.